Hey guys, this is Kieran from MSK Physio, and today's exercise is a crowd favorite. It's called the couch stretch. There's many variations for many different reasons, but if you've been having things like a hip stiffness where you're struggling to go with the leg behind you, or you feel like you've been getting back pain or back stiffness, or maybe even symptoms where you feel like you can't throw as hard as you'd like to throw, this might be a really useful stretch for you. It's a bit of a soul opener. So you got to spend time in it to appreciate it over time, but very, very potent stretch. The couch stretch is, I think it was first popularized by Kelly Starrett with the Supple Leopard and his line of work, which is now the Ready State. But I came across it slightly before then in some different variants, through some stretch therapy variants, through Kit Laughlin, although he does a little more partner-based stuff for hip flexor things. Well, does single stuff as well, I shouldn't say that. But the versions that I've played around with have been to do mainly with my own limitations through this stretch, and we'll talk a little bit about those as we go through them. But to start with, you just need a wall or a couch, hence the name, and we'll talk about why, but something soft as well for your knee. I've got a little yoga mat rolled up. Some people might like a little stick just to give them added stability, which they might need in the early stages of getting through whatever restrictions you have with this stretch. But the underlying premise is that you've got restriction somewhere in the front here. Could be tummy, could be hip, could be quad. It could even be something through the front of the shin muscles. It really depends on what component or what stage you're at with this stretch. So we'll show some views from this angle here, and I'll try and get you some views from the side as well. But let's just get into the basics of what it looks like, and then we can go from there. So I'm going to show you, I don't even know if advanced version is the right phrase, but for me, the most advanced version I've got to. To start with, you're going to put your foot up against the wall. I'm going to start on my knees like this. The end position ends up being a bit more of a lunge, but it's easier to get into the start from here and more practical. So I'm going up flush. My shin is completely against the wall. Now, you could reduce the intensity by bringing your knee further from the wall. That's going to put a little more strain through the front of the ankle. Not a bad thing if you can cope with it, if you're conditioned for it. Where the couch thing comes in is you can tuck the toes like that, and so now I can be on the edge or the front of that couch and just rest my shin up against it and not have my ankle be challenged that much in the stretch. For me, I like the ankle component for various reasons, but for me it's just the progression of getting past not needing, the progression of not wanting the shin. So you're in this to start with. To be fair, if you haven't done this before, I'm kind of making it look a lot more straightforward. You might feel like you can't get up from this position. This is where the stick comes in. So I'm going to put the stick on the opposite side here of this leg. If you put it on the other side, that's fine. I'd like it on this opposite side. I've got my hand in the stick, and I'm going to create a bit of a push, and then I'm going to try and bring this leg through in whatever way you can. So at this point, some of you might be going like, ooh, what have I got myself into? You don't have to move from here if you're feeling a stretch. So the stretch doesn't have to be max intensity. Just go to where you feel some stretch. If you're going for max intensity stretches, there is a time and a place, but you want to have a certain level of experience at end range, and you also want to have a certain level of strength and control, and I guess certain things around you in case things go wrong, and you just need to exit in a safe way. So with this, I might be getting a stretch here to start with, and you just stay and hang out. As you feel like this starts to ease and you want to increase the intensity, you're going to start coming more upright. And what that looks like for you might be that stick helping you crawl yourself all the way to the top. Eventually what you're trying to do, which is what I'm doing here, I'm getting my glutes past my heel, almost touching the wall. I'm holding myself with this leg quite a lot. You guys might need the stick and this arm to help give you some of that strength. This leg might not be able to take it. But eventually the end stage progression for here would be being able to get your shoulders and your head comfortably against the wall, just like if you were laying down on the ground and doing a quad stretch. Now, this is more quad dominant by trying to get my glute to my heel. To get a little more hip flexor dominant, not that this doesn't do hip flexor, but we're looking at a little more of like illiacus. This is a little more rec fem. Is you're going to come forward now, and so bringing this leg into a comfortable position, I need that external rotation just so my hip can open up and I can get lower. I'm trying to bring my pocket towards the ground, so I'm aiming it that way. Hands are here just for support, and I'm pushing down that way. Now this would be the entry for this part of the stretch. Depending on where that back foot is, you just add that extra stimulus of the hips going forward instead. To increase the intensity of this one, again, you come upright. So I'm going to be upright, and then I'm going to push my hips forward this direction. Now, something that I dealt with this, which I've sort of getting on top of now, was a knee pain when I was going into this variant. This one, no problem, happy days. This one, though, required me to have some abdominal stability. So I needed these muscles to brace so that this rec fem and illiacus could stretch. And the reason being for that was that I was over stretching through here and not enough through here. And so the muscle was kind of being asked to lengthen at the knee instead and pulling on some of those knee structures, which was uncomfortable. So by stabilizing here, now I can move this end of the muscle, and this end of the muscle doesn't have to move extra. And so more of the stretch goes into here instead of down at my knee. One of the ways that I found easy to implement that is to create an isometric with this hand and this knee. They've got a synergistic chain that goes from the shin muscles here up through the groin, across the obliques, up into that shoulder complex. So if you push them together, so the knee's pushing that way and the hand's pushing that way, the core tightens. So I hold that tension as I drift forward. And I try and just maintain that for whatever time I've decided upon. I'm usually here for about 60 seconds per leg. And I'm just hanging out, and then I'll switch to the other leg. So you can get an idea of some contractions, and we'll show you a bit of a different angle at the same time, is really good to have active stretches. And by active, we mean that there's a muscular contraction component to it. It means that you're going to build a little more strength end range. Even if you just hold a stretch at end range for a long period of time, we know that over 6-9 months, you're going to get structural changes. That muscle will get bigger. There'll be some hypertrophy. As far as structural length change, it's kind of like a little more of the little muscle sarcomere units in series start to stack up. But we can sort of speed up access to a range by improving comfort there. And by improving comfort, we build an ability to control it. So to do that, you need to create a contraction in your new ranges. So it's like open up some range, 2 steps forward, and then a little contraction, little extra step, trying to build some strength in there. And over time, you'll have control, flexibility, and an ability to demonstrate strength and control through that range. So from the side, if I bring this foot into here, and bring this leg up. One of the contractions, if I was doing the second variant, which is a bit more hip flexor dominant, is I'm going to drive my knee into the ground. So it's like I'm trying to push my knee through the ground. If the ground wasn't there, my knee would do this. So while I'm here, gone down, I'm at the end range of my stretch, and I push, push, push. Now this leg is going to just reflexively do some stuff anyway, but I'm driving, and then I relax, and I can sink a bit further. I might add in this isometric with my tummy at the same time, so I'm pushing my hand and my knee together while also doing the contraction down here. And then when I relax this leg, I maintain this tummy contraction, and I can sink a bit further, okay? For the version where we're coming up, for the glute trying to touch either the wall or the heel, I might push this leg into the box. That's going to get a little more quad. So it's like I'm trying to do that. A second contraction, is a posterior tilt. So what I mean by that is I'm trying to tuck my tail underneath. And that movement looks like this. You might feel like you're not budging an inch when you try, but it will add an extra stimulus to the stretch. So it's when I try and go this way with my hips, I'm tucking under. So play around with both. Build some comfort in each of them. They're a nice stepping stone into building things like back bridges. They've also got carryover into lunges and kicking. They're not the be-end and end-all, but it's part of a bigger mobility program with strength as sort of an overarching goal, strength being strength through your range, being able to control it. It's a really nice addition to any program. So add it in, see if you can get up to the wall comfortably, see if you can at least be upright when you're going forward with your hips, and that'll probably get you, pretty much mostly what you need out of your hip flexors in terms of mobility. If you like this video, then please hit like below. Otherwise, to check out more of our content in the future, you can subscribe to our channel by clicking our logo over here, and to check out our latest video, click up here.